I pronunciate your band name? Because I was like legitimately making dinner and I was like, oh, I gotta do this interview. And I was like, how do I say their band name is? I was just like,
So
I don't want to look like an idiot trying to
no,
pronunciate it.
it's all good. So for the longest time, we went by I am the trireme, and it just
Uh,
after years and years and years of people being like A, not being able to pronounce it, and then B, not knowing, like we'd have to explain what a trireme was. It was the whole thing. So we go by IATT now.
IAT. Okay.
Mhm. Yeah.
Cool. That's good to know. Because I can't, I was like, in my head, I was thinking, I was like, can't wait to butcher this one. Can't
I know,
wait.
4 letters, but we trip people up still. Still,
Yeah.
we thought we cleared it up by going. I mean, we actually made more of a headache.
Every now and then you'll get someone that calls us by like our old name, and I'm like, what?
You're like,
Yeah,
what,
and they get it
what
right.
band name's that? I don't know.
Yeah.
Oh my God,
Yeah.
that's great. I love that because I legitimately, when I got the email, I was like, how am I gonna pronunciate this? Like I was like, I hope somebody clips up like the worst times that I say this band name and then just like roast me online. You know, that's what I was hoping for.
No,
But
no, no.
12 seconds later.
how's it going, guys? Welcome to Audio Addiction. We have IAT with us. And that I did not try to pronunciate that like 3 or 4 different times before we, started the official episode. But the guys can say their names and what they do in their band.
All right. So my name is Jay Briscoe, and I am the vocalist and bassist of IATT.
And I am Alec Pisano. I am the rhythm guitar, and I do all the orchestral accompaniment stuff for IATT.
Oh, there we go. Well, if you do notice Alec before, he has been on the channel a couple different times. You should also check out his other band. I'm sure I'll have him back on again at some point. But I wanted to have Alex band on IAT because obviously if you're a musician, you're in multiple bands. I was like, I know Alec is in another band, and I was like, I should check it out. And this has been a long time coming because I know when I initially interviewed you guys for Ghost Friends, I was like, I should get his other band on here, and then it just went. It just dissipated, and then I recently hit up Alec, and I was like, "Do you just want to come on and talk about IATT?" And he was like, "Yeah, do it up. Let's go." So
you picked a good time because we were right in the midst of like some crazy stuff happening. So like great things, but just we are busier than ever.
That's
in the
great.
best way.
Very busy.
Love to hear that. Love to hear that, guys. But the first question I have for you, obviously, I know Alec from his other band that he's a part of, but how did IATT start out? Like, what is the origin story of the band? Because beyond just listening to your music, I don't really know anything about the origin of your band, so you might as well tell the viewership about what's going on and how you guys started out.
Do you want to take this one, Alec? Or
yeah. Jay and I were just talking before we hopped on here. We are getting ready to celebrate our 15 years as a band.
Awesome. Very cool.
Which is, yeah, it's a pretty big feat, to be honest. We've seen a lot of other bands come and go over the years, and we've played with some awesome bands that are no longer together, and played some awesome venues that are no longer around. So we've withheld the test of time. We met up in 2008 via Craigslist. Just a bunch of dudes looking to start a band.
Sketchy.
Yeah.
I'm glad it went well because I've heard some horror stories.
I may or may not have brought a box cutter with me just in case.
Fair. That's fair.
We met up on South Street.
We did.
Oh my God, that's okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So Jay had met up with 2 other guys beforehand. And they decided they wanted to start a project, so they put some feelers out. I responded to one, and I met up with them on South Street, and we just kind of clicked. Especially Jay and I, we had this drive that really solidified, I would say, the beginnings of our brotherhood at this point. Now, 15 years together, being the 2 founding members of this unit.
Yeah, we definitely wanted something more. A lot of people that were in the band or in our lives at that moment, they wanted to just hang out, drink beers and things like that. And me and Alec, we really decided that we wanted something more than that. We didn't want to play in, our parents' garage or basement. We wanted to get out, play some shows, We wanted to release material, Alec's artistic vision, and just my concept of what we wanted to be as a band. So we really decided that we wanted to go further.
And when did you guys kind of like have that realization that obviously congratulations on, being a band for 15 years. I feel like that I know you guys I felt like you kind of undersold it. Like 15 years is a long time. Like as most people know, on the date of recording this, like, I also celebrated 7 years. So, kudos to you guys for, doing it that long. I hope that I can continue interviewing bands for 15 years. That would be kind of wild. I'll be old and crusty when that time comes around, um but for me it's like, when I see that and seeing such drive, and I feel like, obviously I've known Alec for a little bit now at this point. Not a little bit, I think a little bit longer than a little bit now at this point, but like
2 years.
you, but yeah, I feel like I've seen your drive to, not only in, Ghost Friends but also in this project as well, and just seeing that was really cool, and seeing the growth of this band as well, and just kind of, after I had met Alec, I was just like, let me just follow both bands so I can kind of keep an eye on what's going on. And it's cool to see you guys just like going for the gusto, because I think a lot of times when you think about bands, you're like, oh yeah, they just, something's gonna happen, they're gonna do it. But I feel like you guys have that sort of drive and effort to just be like, listen, there are bands that do, that play long times and they can go, on long tours and sort of stuff like that. But I feel like you guys have, obviously proven that being consistent and just like keep chugging at it, and all that sort of stuff, and the type of drive that you have for this band, like, really shows. And I got to give you a lot of kudos for that, because very easily, much like anything else, you could give up doing it, or not have, or might have the lack of drive to do it, just because it's been such a long period of time. But, I got to give you guys a lot of props for that, because it's certainly something to be proud of, certainly.
Thank you. Thanks. Yeah, we it's not just us. We've had multiple guys that have over the years been in the band in different roles and things like that. And yeah, we just Jay and I have this drive where we are determined to continue to push. So
yeah. And as Alec was saying, like we've had this current lineup for a good amount of time now. It's
That's
the longest I've had this current lineup. And I feel like having Joe and Paul, it's really a good fit. So me and Alec we've gone through different band dynamics with different members, and this fit is the most natural. And we've accomplished some of the better things with this lineup. So yeah, we definitely feel like this fit is, the lasting fit.
That's good to hear. I love when bands have been doing it for a long time, and obviously continued success for you guys as in going further, and all that sort of stuff. But the next question I have for you guys is, people who aren't as familiar with your band and just happen to click on this video and are like, oh man, I'd really like to check this out. What song would you recommend to a new listener to kind of give them a vibe of like, what you guys are about, what you do?
I would say, I feel like Seven Wandering Stars is our best representation.
Okay.
Even though it has like a guest vocalist in it, I think it wraps up everything that IATT has been in the beginning to the end. Like it has, doesn't have as many progressive influences as like our later stuff.
Sure.
But it still has like the technicality, the speed, the catchiness. I just think it's really like a wholesome song that wraps up what we do.
I agree. I think it's in a way it's almost like anthemic,
Yeah.
As far as the song goes. I love it's hard to pick one song because I love what we've done as a whole on the last album. And I think I think the album itself like speaks as a collective piece, which is something that we've grown into and strive for now when we do releases. We kind of think of things in like broad
Sure.
packages now, and less just like, this is a cool song, this is a cool song. We're really constructing things in a way that they're cohesive,
Sure.
full
Yeah.
bodies. So it's hard. I will agree. I think that Seven Wandering probably is like an anthemic, like staple song that we will probably carry on playing for a good while now.
Very sick. Do you guys have like maybe a deep cut song that you're just like, man, I wish this song got a little bit, like, just a smidge bit more love? Because I always feel like, we talk about, favorite songs from favorite artists, but I always feel like there's one song that's just like the runt that you're like, ah, man, I wish I worked, not to say that all the other songs you didn't work hard on, but like there's that one song you're like, man, I really wish people would give a little bit more attention to.
I could speak on that. I think finding it hard to maintain with Serenity bleeding through my veins is, well, it's a mouthful for a title, but but I think the stars kind of aligned when we were putting that song together, and I still to this day find the outro to that song to be one of the most beautiful pieces that we've written.
Oh, very sick. Okay.
I would have to agree with Alec there.
Yeah.
That was kind of like, that was the song that turned the page for us.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's
And
a
it
great
was
point.
really like from 2015 and on, like that song moved us to a different direction and progression. And I feel like that song relates to almost every song that we've written after it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it was released on a re-release of an EP. So it was like
wow.
it was a bonus track, and it really didn't get the love that it deserved. There was a lot of creativity there vocally. There was, like he was saying, the ending piece was probably one of the most beautiful and epic parts that we've composed. So yeah, like the lyrics were they were impactful. So I would say that's a song that should be checked out.
I think that song still. I think if we were to put that song as a bonus track on Magnum Opus, it still would fly. I think it would hold up for sure. And that's a gap from like 2015 to 2022, which is, it's saying something, I think.
Yeah.
What were you saying, Jay? You were gonna say. I feel like you were gonna say something. So.
No, I was just piggybacking off of Alec. I think that song would stand the test of time. Like, we could release that now,
Mm-hmm.
and even though it's like a song that's not as popular,
Sure.
I think that it definitely would get a good response. You know what? This might be something we might want to re-record.
Oh, there we go.
Oh, man.
I think that's a great idea, actually.
Wow. All right. Well, that would be. I feel like that would be a first for my channel. I don't feel like there's anything. I don't think anybody has come on and had that realization that they're like, man, we should re-record this song and throw it on like.
You get album credits then.
Oh,
You get album credits.
that'd be. I would. That'd be sick.
This is something we can put in between before we release like our full length. Just
Oh, I like that. I like that. That'd be very neat. I didn't have anything to do with it, guys. So I just want to let you know. If you got the re-release of this song,
put
then
the spark out there. Just put the spark out.
Listen,
but
we're always a band that's always looking for what's next.
Yeah.
That's true. I feel like, and I like that you guys mentioned that there was a shift in like 2015 that, you were just like, man, I think we should do like, we should do something different, or the way that we approach writing should be in a different thought process, because I think a lot of, especially a band of your tenure, like, you very easily could have been just like, yeah, we're in this writing path, like, this is what we want to do, this is like kind of how we have it carved out, like, let's continue on with this. But I always find that bands sometimes, especially along the, like, having such of a long tenure, I'm like, it's kind of nice to have them just like, take the road less traveled and have like the thought process be like, let's do something different. Like, if we were to quit and not do this anymore, like, what would we really want the next thing to be, or like the next motivation point to be at? And to say you guys had such a profound like thought process of like, I think we need to like kind of have a shift and go with that shift, like, you could have very easily just kept in that lane and just been like, okay, this is what's worked for us. This is how we do it. And I think that sometimes that lack of comfortability between like artists and like their art, like I kind of enjoy that because a lot of the times it renders some of the best results. And I think for what you guys are doing, the path that you're on, like it definitely seems like to me, you guys are like, forging that path. And I went through and listened to like Magnum Opus, and I was like, this is something like I wasn't really expecting, but just absolutely just like I was sitting here at my computer desk and I was like my mouth was just like to the floor. I was like, how do I know Alec from like doing like this his other project and then listen to this? And I'm like, there's no, are these the same guys? Like, is this the same person? Like because it's kind of wild to me. And I was like thinking about that earlier, like when I was like driving home, I was just like to have that kind of thought process where you're like, oh, okay, I'm gonna write this specific type of music, or like have an idea of like this is what I want to write, and then to write something like the complete 180, like it requires that much skill. So I got to give you a lot of kudos, Alec, because I know like being in two different projects, requires two different thought processes. But I also got to give a lot of kudos to Jay because I was just like, as someone who I don't know if you can see, but I recently picked up a bass like not too long ago over the pandemic, and currently it's collecting dust. But like I really appreciate a lot of the bass lines in like Magnum Opus because I personally like don't like I kind of like am in that guitar thought process where I'm like guitar, 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 and I used to be like that atypical guy that's like, what does the bass do, man? Like what's going on with that, and now I have like a greater, not that I didn't beforehand. That was a joke, guys. That was a joke. I know what bass does. But I feel like I have more of an appreciation for it now because I kind of like semi play bass. I'm not very good. I just want to say I'm not good at all, um but I have more of an appreciation for like heavier music and the way that bass kind of is integrated into that. So I had to also give you a lot of kudos for that cuz to me personally, like that's what I've been learning more currently, and then now I'm like, okay, is this going to be a cool bass riff, or like how is he going to integrate that into the song? And then literally got blown back. I was like, oh my God, this is so sick. So got to give you a lot of kudos for that, Jay.
I appreciate that. A little known fact. I started playing bass after 2015. So I never picked until 2015. From like 2015 on, that's when I was the bassist.
And pulling double duty because you're also doing vocals while you're playing bass. So yeah.
Yeah.
Where credit's due, man.
Kudos. Like it's so cool. And I think I've definitely seen some videos and just like the way that you guys play live, and just I'm obviously hope to see you guys, finger crossed, this year. Obviously we're not too far in proximity from each other, but I'm hoping, that's my hope this year is to see you guys, rip a gig live, because I think for like listening to Magnum Opus like front to back today, like I was just jamming it like on my way home from work, and I was like, this is so ridiculous. I don't like I was like so amazed at the like intricateness of like everything, the guitars, like the orchestral like moments, the like the bass playing, the way that the drums kind of fill into the album itself. It's such a cool thing. So I'll leave, guys, you already know, links in the description. Go check it out, go buy it. I still have to buy the vinyl, but I'm definitely gonna buy it. So don't buy all of them because I still need to buy mine, but like if you want to buy it, you can buy it. Just make sure I buy it first before then you. I'm just kidding. You can buy it if you want. And then I'll pay resale for it like an idiot because I didn't buy it sooner. So there we go.
We'll hold one for you. That you're
there we
gonna
go.
come to.
Oh, okay. There we go. I love it. But the next question I have for you guys is, this one's always a fun one to ask, and I feel like I've kind of asked Alec this, but I've switched up the question just a smidge. But who was the first artist that got you into music? Like you saw them on TV, you either listened to their album, something like that, where you were just like, it drew you? Like it was like, oh, I need to do this, or I need to pick up a guitar, or I need to learn how to sing, or I need to have to like do something. So what was like that first artist that just kind of like scratched that itch?
You want me to?
Metaphorical itch.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay, so I don't want to get killed for this. 'Cause it's not brutal at all.
That's fine. Listen,
And it's not
don't kill
even-
Jay in the comments, all right? Listen,
It's weird, but okay. So I would say it was Prince, the Purple Rain.
wow.
The reason and okay, so I'll tell you the story. So
Great answer though. I just want to say.
Yeah, I used to do my homework in the basement, and you know, homework was like at the age of like 8 years old. You know, you start thinking about any and everything besides the actual.
That's true.
So-
Yeah.
So my dad had his cassette tape player downstairs, and he had a bunch of tapes. And the Purple Rain album just drew me in. The artwork, and Prince sitting on that motorcycle.
Yeah.
I started to like play the tape, and man, I was just pulled into it. Like, I don't know, that really drew me to music. And then that year I joined a band, so that kind
Wow.
of kicked things for me.
Love that. Alec?
I don't know. What got me into playing music? I've been playing music my whole life. I started playing piano when I was 5, and I took I was classically trained up until probably 13, and I was a 13-year-old kid. It wasn't fun to like play piano. It was fun to go outside and be on the computer and shit like that. So I didn't really take it seriously up until I was maybe like 16 or 17, and I was like, oh, like I can do this cool thing that like other people think it's cool now, and like people are starting to get in bands, and like I can like contribute to that kind of stuff. So I kind of I fell in that way. I don't know if there's a particular band that got me into music. I've always had music in my life.
Sure.
Um,
Who converted you to like the dark side, the
Ooh,
heavy
okay.
music, That's
No,
that's
yeah.
what. And you can
Yeah.
also answer that one as well too, Jay, of course.
Oh man, I gotta tell you.
Okay.
Yeah, real quick, I went to Catholic school in my early years, and I remember there were other kids in my school who were walking around with a Cradle of Filth shirt, and I just thought like, oh my god, that's terrifying. That is terrible. Like I can't even get behind that. And then I started listening to like Rob Zombie and then eventually Cradle of Filth and Disturbed and stuff like that back in like the early 2000s. Okay, cool. Like this is cool. And then when I was in high school, like I heard about like bands like Dimmy Borgir or it's like Carpathian Forest and things like that. And I was like, oh my god, those guys are crazy. I'm never gonna listen to that. That's like really heavy stuff. Never. And now we're playing shows like we're in it now.
Yeah,
So,
you've taken the
Sorry, Mom.
dive. Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
So when I was 19, I was attending community college, and I met some friends that were into like heavy metal and everything
Sure.
like that, and they kind of like popped my cherry, I guess, for heavy metal. They started me off with like bands like Iron Maiden and
Ooh.
Dragon just came out, so I was into like the melodies and things like that. But the one band that really got me started was Slayer.
Oh.
They burned a copy of Rain and Blood,
Oh, classic.
my CD player, and it scared the hell out of me. My parents were very religious growing
Oh,
up,
yeah.
really religious, and it just like it scared the hell out of me, and I was like hooked right after that. Like after Slayer, I was looking for the fastest, like darkest band that I could find. Like that year, I went to go see Behemoth and Demon Gear and Cataclysm and Summer Slaughter, and man, it was crazy. Like, I don't know what I would have done if I wasn't introduced to Slayer.
Oh yeah, big facts. I love that because I also grew up religious, and my parents would be like, "Okay, you can only listen to like they're like you could listen to like classic rock and stuff like that."
Yeah.
And I remember I was like, "Oh well," I'm like the first couple bands that I kind of just put them in a trifecta now at this point, but like the first three bands that I was like able to listen to was Under Oath, August Burns Red, and The Devil Wears Prada, since they were all like Christian, quote unquote, you know. But
Okay.
I loved listening to those bands, still love them to this day. Like those are still some of my favorite acts to. I legitimately, I like looked at my computer and I was like, man, they're frozen for a long time. That's weird.
Well,
Then I
I sat
realized it was me.
I sat there. I was like, I think Jay's moving. No, something's up.
I think Jay's here. Um, Obviously, they mustn't. The I think it's the religious people were just like, no, you can't talk about.
Oh, you think we pissed off the religious people?
I
At
think we might have, yeah. That might have been the case.
uh,
I'm just kidding. I don't know. Sometimes this
yeah,
shit happens, but
yeah.
I don't know how much of it you caught. But basically, to surmise the point, so that's how I kind of got into metal. But I do appreciate that you guys are like, that was kind of the journey that you guys took, where you know, it was kind of. I feel like metal music has always been that like place for people who just didn't fit in, and
Mhm.
I'm glad that you guys are part of the part of the group. I feel like it's funny to me that like now metal is getting up there in like popularity and stuff. Obviously, it will never be as popular as like radio music, but I find that now it's like the things that I like grew up where people are like, "Oh, I can't believe you listen to that shit." Now they're like, "Yeah, man, I love that band." I'm like, "Bro, you used to like shit on me for liking this band, so fuck you."
Also,
Like,
I will say that there's like an interesting thing that's happening like with music now, where a lot of stuff is not necessarily like metal, but like things are getting
mhm.
like very dark.
Oh
You know what I
yeah.
mean? The imagery is getting real dark, and like
Yep.
um, you just uh, things are kind of like coalescing. It's not
We were
everybody's
just
getting.
cool. We were just cool before even things happened. That's what I've come to realize is that like metal musicians and like people who are like a part of like the heavier scene of things like that are more interested in that like sort of darker things. We're just ahead of the pack. That
Yeah,
just saying. So
yeah,
you guys are trendsetters. So thank you. Thank you for your service.
anytime.
I, that's great. But the next question I have for you guys is a current one. What are you guys listening to? What have you been jamming recently? What's on the Spotify? Give me the lowdown.
Hmm.
Go ahead, Jay.
All right. Hmm. Okay, so it's a weird time for me. I've been resting my ears because we've been writing so much music, and
Oh, okay.
a lot of the time, like you just need to step away to appreciate things. But I will say that I've been listening to the singles for the Hawken release.
Ooh, okay. Yeah.
Their newer material is a little bit more commercial, but it's still really good. I've been listening to that. I've been listening to Enslaved, of course. They have a
Ooh.
new album coming out. Um, and that's the only thing I can really think of at the moment. But yeah, I'm just in a phase where we've been listening to our songs over and over, just evaluating like
Sure.
how at things and stuff like that. And I've taken a break from listening to new stuff because I just need to rest like my musical consumption, I guess.
I
Yeah,
got
yeah.
you. I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree. I agree. I think that we've been so heavily invested in writing the new album that me too. I haven't really been like actively looking for new music. I've kind of been resting on like some things that I comfort stuff, I guess, if you would.
Sure. Yeah.
Um, But I will say I did follow your analysis of the new Sleep Token stuff,
Oh, thank you.
and I'm really loving it.
It's so good.
Really loving what they're putting out. I mean, I love the last two albums that they did. So this is right up there though with those. I'm really enjoying that stuff. Jay mentioned the new Enslaved. I've been following that stuff too. Other than that, I've been kind of laying low as far as like looking for new music.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Jay, were you gonna say something? It looked like you were about to just like jump on it.
I've recently looked into the hype entitled Sleep Token, and yeah, I'm really impressed by those guys too. So I just wanted to piggyback that.
I'm so hyped.
I've heard the name around a lot, but you know, I bit the bullet and I checked it out. And really impressive stuff. I really like it.
It is like this like eclectic mix of I actually, someone who commented on one of my videos was just like, it's a good mix. Like the ones that they've released thus far have been a good mix of like old, like Sundowning, and then like This Place Will Become Your Tomb. So it's gonna be like this combination. And I mentioned it in like the last video I did, not to, you know, shill for myself here, but we have gotten the first 6 tracks or 5 tracks of the album. So I'm curious if that was intentional or not, because now I know the first half of the album. So I'm curious, and I'm pretty sure they may give us, based off of like what I know and what I'm familiarized with just like music and how it's released. I think we might get one more single. That would be my imagination, but if not, then I'm completely fine with that, because the other songs I'm probably listening to Sleep Token like on the daily right now, so it's always in the rotation. I can't get enough of it. I might be a little bit of a fanboy, if I'm going to be honest.
That is the one band that I am continuously turning people on to.
I think it's like I was explaining this to a buddy of mine, is just like, I think they hit that nice stride point where like you can show them a song that's just a little bit more like not as like screamy aggressive, um and it's kind of like that gateway thing where you're like, okay, you know, you might, if you like this song, you might want to move a little bit further into the catalog and find another song that's maybe like a little bit more screaming, and then eventually the next song becomes like mostly screaming, and then you just listen to an album where they just scream all the time, and then you're now you're part of the clan, you know. So
Yeah.
that's what happens. So and then you'll be listening to IATT, you know, by the time you know it. So, you know, check the links in the description. You know, you want to get ahead of it now. The ball is here, and you can move the ball like over here to the next section, you know. Just, you know, we're in stages, you know. So if you'd love to be in the IATT stage where I'm at, you know, then you can check below in the description. So
there you go.
Also, just magnum opus, great album. I mean, great album title, because it is a magnum opus, and you should check it out in the links below. I'm not shilling for this album; it is that good. So go, don't listen to me. I'm just a guy on the internet, but I think it's good. So you should check it out.
I think you need the disclaimer that you weren't paid for this promotion.
I don't know. Alec could pay me, you know, that I don't, you know, I could see like a PayPal notification show up on my phone, you know. I don't, you know, the verdict isn't out on that. But the next question I have for you guys is, what song would you love to cover? Because I feel like you're in a very eclectic band, and I don't know if that's ever crossed your mind in terms of a cover song, but I'd be curious to know what your pick is.
There was a time where we did have a cover in our arsenal, and it's not one that anyone would really ever think to do. You would think that we would kind of stick to our like black metal-ish kind of like, you know, death metal parts. But we had, at one point we had a Coheed cover.
What?
That was I think pretty damn good.
Yeah,
I have to find that now.
Oh, we didn't record or release it.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say you're gonna have me go down the rabbit hole. I would go looking for that shit immediately. I would close out this interview just to go look for it.
It was a Welcome Home, right?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
Now I need to hear that. That's like I feel like
Maybe
I need to be locked and loaded on that. That's a classic. That's a classic Coheed track if I've ever heard it.
maybe
We
we'll
have a lot of ideas over, the last few years, that we've never gone through with. But we're always looking for a good cover that, people would appreciate and fits our style.
I think it's hard, not to like, pat ourselves on the back, but we spend so much time really trying to like push ourselves and our boundaries that we're always looking forward.
Sure. Yeah.
I will say, probably 12 years ago, Alec had the idea of covering "Strange Fruit" by Billie Holiday.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
But Oceans of Slumber, they did their own rendition about 2 to 3 years ago, and it's like, man, we had that so long ago.
Yeah, we had worked on that
Follow through
12
with-
years ago. 12 years ago, we worked on that.
Yep.
And,
And then we were. There was another song that we were thinking about covering, but I can't. It slipped my mind. Yeah, that's someone else that was bigger than us. Covered.
a Black Magic Woman.
No one covered that, but it was.
But we had talked about doing that one.
Yeah. We want to do that.
I'd like that. That'd be interesting.
Yeah, it's a little bit of Latin spice in there.
I think I would vote for that one. Like, if I had my metaphorical token, I think I would cash that in.
Yeah, it's big shoes to fill. I tell you that.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. That is a Santana classic. But I feel like you guys can, like, especially since the song has kind of more of a like open. I don't want to say open-endedness to it, but it definitely has a lot of space to it. I'd be very curious to hear like the more like black metal roots going on with that. I feel like there could be some space that could definitely be utilized within that song. So I know you guys are, hard at work on the new album, and, I don't want to discount that at all because that's great. But I also feel like in my head, you set off the neurons, and I'm like, man, what would I want to hear more right now? I'd love to hear both, if I could have my cake and eat it too, but man, that'd be wild. I think that would be cool. If I had to put my metaphorical vote in to vote for that song, I think I would choose that. That would be. Okay. I haven't heard a band cover that one. I don't think, like, other than just being in like a cover band. Obviously, I've heard that, but not like, and then probably not in that sort of way. So I feel like you guys could do justice to it. Certainly, Jay's got it. He says big shoes to fill, but I think he's underselling himself as a vocalist.
Yeah.
You got the chops. You got the chops, Jay. Come on. I know you do.
We'll make it happen.
Okay.
All we have to do is tell Joe, and then he's gonna take off with it.
That's true. That's true. We can't let him watch this interview because then he'll
do it.
Yeah. He'll have it composed by tomorrow.
Joe, come on. Let's.
He'll write all of our parts.
That's sick.
We've got a group of fans that we've done stuff with a couple times, and this one guy keeps saying that we need to cover some Kiss material.
Oh,
and I don't know if that's,
Jay's like
I don't know if it's ever gonna happen, but like the idea is out there.
I think Jay said it all with the facial expression. I don't think you could have given it away any more than that.
Yeah.
I appreciate you were polite about it, Alec, but I feel like, I'm not a very good telltale sign of people, but
I don't know if it's our vibe, but no. It's been talked about.
It's fair. That's fair. I think you could cover the Santana Black Magic Woman, I think you got it. That's more your speed,
Yeah.
I got it. Well, guys, if it's not Kiss, maybe it is. I don't know. If you'd like to put your metaphorical token in for IATT, drop them in the comments. Yeah, drop it in the comments. Let us know what song you would love to hear them cover next. I know they're hard to.
This song. I don't even know.
It wasn't my idea.
Yeah, I want to pitch for Alec. He did not say it was his idea. He said your
No, I'm just
fans.
saying
Yeah.
that there's a fan who keeps asking us to do
Yeah.
this.
So there you go. Would you want to ruin, the fan experience? No, I'm just kidding. I'm not gonna throw Jay under the bus. I don't. That's not my vibe here. But if you do have, you got fingers and you have a keyboard, make sure to type a comment down there and let us know what you would love to hear them cover next. My vote, you already know my vote is the Santana song. So let's rock. If you don't pick the Santana song, I'm gonna come to your house. No, I'm kidding. I'm not gonna do that. That would be very sick, if you agreed with me over the internet. But the next question I have for you guys is, as you mentioned, you're hard at work on the next release. What excites you the most about, that upcoming process and being able to share that with your fans? Because I feel like for me, I'm already hyped because, I loved Magnum Opus and, obviously it came out not that long ago. So I feel like, that atypical guy on the internet that's like, so I know you released a new album, but like, when's the next material coming out? I'm not going to be that guy, but I want to say that I am personally excited for the next release. So how are you guys excited? Because I feel like you guys are pretty stoked about it as well. And when did you guys actually record Magnum Opus? Because I imagine, like most bands, you record it. There's that process of like getting, the album art, all that sort of stuff in the process, and you can go to market the album. And then by the time the plane has lifted off and is in the sky somewhere, you have already been on to the next piece of material. So it's just old news. Not to say it's bad news, it's just old news. How has that process been, working on the next chapter of IATT and where it's going to be?
So I will say that I'm going to answer the later question, but
Okay.
I will say that the excitement process has kind of passed already.
What?
So,
Oh my
yeah,
God.
all right. So we're excited to see how people receive it, but like the excitement is writing.
Sure.
So
Yeah.
we've written these songs already. Like it's very exciting to write something new or the next thing or like to hit the next extreme.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now we've listened to our songs so much that it's like, like there's
You're
a
like,
little bit of,
oh man,
and
this new
at this
material.
point, at this point, I want to write something new already.
Fair.
Like
Spoken
but
like a true musician. Yeah.
yeah, yes, I'm ready to write something new. But like the process of writing a new album, you constantly listen, you constantly critique, you constantly adjust, you
Oh yeah.
constantly so we started writing these songs January of last year, and we've already come full circle. It's been a year already, and it's exciting to hear like little refreshments, like the guest musicians who add something on top of the
Sure.
song, or
Yeah.
the orchestral compositions. It like adds more to the song. But yeah, it's a year old to us already, so it's like we've already listened to this so much. But the exciting part is bringing everything together, listening to it as a final product, and then getting the reception, like seeing like what people think, hearing reviews, validation, confirmation that we've done a good job, the fruition of like
Sure.
the grind.
Yeah.
So I will say that to answer the other question, we started writing Magnum Opus in 2020.
Oh wow. So yeah. So this is like 3 years almost.
Yeah. So we were supposed to do like a short tour run in the Midwest. We were going to like Indiana and a few other states. And this was the beginning of the pandemic. They started shutting down states and things like that. So we decided to cancel because we didn't want to have the issue of like not being able to make it home or
Sure.
cross
Yeah.
state. And that was a very scary thought. So that tour was canceled, and we said, we already have this time off of work, so why don't we start, writing our next album?
Sure. Yeah.
So
Smart
over
move.
the 3 to 4 days, we started writing songs, and we were chugging out songs like once a day. And then that was the start of Magnum Opus. And if Alec wants to throw his 2 cents in there, I'll allow him to. I don't want to take the whole.
No, you're good.
I appreciate that you're allowing him to speak. That's the most important thing.
Yes. Um, it's hard. I don't know if people care to know how the sausage gets made, but
I
it takes
do.
a long time. It takes a long time, especially when you care as much as we do. We are very meticulous when it comes to putting together an album,
I feel that.
because we it's a lot more than just putting like stacking songs one after another. We really take care into like making sure there's a cohesive message, that there's flow, and that things fit right, and that each piece of the album serves a purpose. Um, uh, Other bands might not get that into the minutia, but that's something that we kind of pride ourselves on, is that we really take the time to craft a full, like I was saying
Sure.
before, a full entity. So yeah, while we have already played these songs over and over and over again for us, I'm excited, like Jay was saying, for to get other people's responses, and I'm hesitant to like give too much information,
Sure.
because
Yeah.
this new album, we're doing some things that I think are scary ambitious,
Okay.
and I think people are going to be shocked with what we have, just as not just song, but I'm just talking as a full package. What we're
Yeah.
doing,
Yeah.
it's a level that I don't think I can recall anybody else trying to achieve, like in this space. So I'm excited to roll that stuff out, but I can't say too much.
No. I don't want you to say a lot.
I'm trying to be careful about what I'm saying.
I feel like for me, it's like I like asking that question, because I'm very inquisitive, as if that wasn't clearly evident to most people here on the channel. But I feel like for myself, like it's cool to get like through the looking glass a little bit, because like for me as an interviewer and also like a reviewer, my perspective on an album is like I love seeing, listening to Magnum Opus and being like absolutely just gobsmacked at like the type of stuff that you guys are creating. And then for the sheer fact that Alec was just like, hey, so we're gonna like blow the lid off of that album and like do something really out there. I think that makes me excited to listen to it, because like it's like, okay, I'm not gonna get Magnum Opus 2.0. I'm gonna get, something different. And I think to me, I like that. I like the advent that bands are taking that sort of challenge and just like going ham with it, because the last thing that I would want, especially after listening to Magnum Opus, would be to be like, I don't know. I like the last album before that one, and that's not to discount this new album at all, because I haven't listened to it. I just want to let anybody know I have not listened to any of the new stuff yet that is in the cooking stage right now. But for me, it's like it's cool to kind of peer in and see like what the thought process is, because I imagine most fans, they don't want to like, they want to have enough information to kind of go through and be like, oh yeah, like that's I'm excited, to hear what's going to be coming next. And I feel like I would imagine most of your fans are in that sort of category where they're just like, I just want to hear every juicy detail of what's going to be coming out, which isn't the case. But I feel like, if I can get like a little nugget of like some cool stuff that's going to be worked on, then I feel like for me, that will hold me over, it'll bring me that sustenance.
So I'm willing to give you some vague thoughts.
You say that with some reservation. So if you don't want to say it, it's completely fine.
Alec is like holding his mouth. This will be a legacy piece for us.
Oh wow! Okay.
Easily, yes.
I think we won't be looked at as a band, but as artists after this, and that's all I'm going to leave with you.
That's a great way to put it, Jay. What we are going to do with this is something that, again, like I can't think of anybody who has tried to do it on the scale that we're doing this. in a long time, at least. And this pushes. IATT is known for like putting like a conceptual album together. This pushes that like into the stratosphere, and I think people will be shocked and excited when they see what we unroll, because it's again scary, ambitious, and happening. So
It's too late. It's too late to turn back the
yeah,
take the car back, you know.
Keyword that we've been using over the last, I would say, 5 years is progression, evolution, and constantly evolving.
Yeah, I feel like it kind of comes back to a former point we talked about, which was just like being that artist that like wants to, like you said, you had that course correction, you know, and I feel like this is another point in time where you guys are at where you're like, okay, we could, you know, we could write another magnum opus, so we could continue down that line, or we can write something different and go more ambitious. And you know, if history is any milestone on this, then I feel like I feel like personally, even without you saying it, I'm like, they're gonna take the road less traveled. You know, that's
I
what it seems like.
and I don't want to leave him out of this because he's not in the interview, but we really have to throw some credit to Joe Canamessa, our lead guitarist. On a regular basis, he's sending us the most obscure music from the 60s, 70s, any like the craziest things. Like he's always pushing the envelope and introducing us to like some weird ideas. And I feel like sometimes he has a schedule where he gradually shows us something weirder and weirder and weirder.
He's just waiting. He's gonna send you the most weird shit. He's got it,
Yes.
you know.
Alec, am I lying?
no,
And he's like, every time he's like, phew, I thought you guys weren't gonna like go for that one.
He's probably going to
Yeah,
be watching
like-
this interview and being like, "Man, I've got some really weird ones to text up. I guess
like,
I gotta
they're
send
on
them
me.
now."
they're on to me. So
Yeah, his dad was introducing him to like weird, obscure music as a kid, so he has like a plethora of like resources.
that's funny
amazing.
you mentioned that, Jay, about like references from like the 60s and 70s prog movement. I think that's a huge influence on this new album.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Don't get me wrong, we are still very much IATT, and we have kind of grown into our own sound that I think we showcased in Nomenclature and then refined and solidified in Magnum Opus. I think that people people who love Magnum Opus will be pleasantly surprised by sonically what we're doing. But
Sure.
I think just the package that we're delivering is something special.
Then you should just rename this upcoming album Magnum Opus, because it might actually be your Magnum Opus. Yeah.
Magnum Opus, sir.
We just knight that album. You know, we're knighting the new album. That's the new Magnum Opus. I'm just saying. I don't.
We are knighting the new album.
There we go. I love it. But I think for me too, like, not that like I was trying to squeeze information out of you guys. I do appreciate that you decided to divulge at least a little bit of it. But I think for me, it's like I'm kind of new to IATT and like what you guys are doing, because I feel like I had listened to it and I was like, at the time I was like, this isn't really my speed, and then jumped back into Magnum Opus when it came out, and I was like, what's going on here? Like, why did I not listen to this sooner? You know, I felt like kind of a little bit of a dum dum. You know, I was like, oh man, I should really give this a listen. And I, you know, being in the heavier scene of music, like, I feel like that should have been right up my alley, and I was glad that I went back and listened to it, and then obviously listened to it a little earlier today as well, because I think it gave me more of an appreciation for it. And anytime I have people on to interview, like, I feel like the best way to show my appreciation is to actually listen to the music that they create. So, you know, for me, it was really cool and a special experience, and obviously, I'm very excited to see what's going to be coming next, because I feel like you guys gave me just like the tip of the iceberg, and I feel like there's just like a whole bunch of shit underneath the water that I am not remotely waiting for or ready for. And you know, I don't have another set of pants to change, you know, so I don't know how much, you know how much you're gonna just blow my brain out, but I'm very excited to get into it, and I hope that at least for most IATT fans, I imagine they're going to be very excited to hear just the tiniest bit about the new album. I wouldn't want to spoil anybody, but I'd also want to just kind of like, just give a little. I felt like that was kind of right to ask. But
Cool. Yeah.
appreciate you guys for doing that. But the next question I have for you guys is, if you guys were to have just a dream guest feature on an up and coming IATT record, who would you just love to have on?
That's a tough question.
Yeah, we're pretty good about doing guest features on Magnum Opus. We had a ton of really cool guests that helped kind of add spice to the album.
Sure. Yeah.
So I don't know if there's like a dream person for me in particular. I don't know. Jay, you have anything? I mean, on the new album, we do have some cool guests. I think we upped. Not that we're upping the amount of guests, but I think we're upping some of the performances.
Okay.
And names. So I don't know.
Yeah, I was trying to think really hard, and I really don't have anything for you.
That's all right. I feel like that's products of doing an interview, like all of the names that you're like, man, I'd love to have that person on, just gone, and then I feel like I'm going to get a frantic email from Jay and be like, oh my God, no, this is the person I actually wanted. Yes, please put them in here. So if there is some frantic email that I do wind up receiving and they do come up with some sort of name, that it will be on the screen now. So you guys can, go at them on Twitter or whatever, kids do now. I don't know. I'm getting older. So, but if you want to make it happen, I think tweeting is the best way, so we're in the wild west of the internet. So, I always believe that if it's out there in the universe, there's probably a pretty good chance that someone saw it, and that, who knows, people know other people, so it could happen. So if you want to make insert name here happen on an IATT record, make sure to go follow them on social media and just, like lightly press them and be like, yo, so there's this really sick band. You should check out IATT. And also, like, they would really love if you featured on their album. That would be really sick. So if you want to make that happen, the DMs have to be interlinked, so just saying.
Jay, I say we take one for the team and we just put it out there that Joe would really love Taylor Swift to be on the album.
There you go.
We'll take one for the team, and if you're in the comment section, you can go ahead and just, if you just want to add Taylor Swift, Joe would love it.
What?
Joe
he's a massive Taylor Swift
on his feet.
He has Taylor Swift tattooed on him.
Yep. T Swift with a coffee mug.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, dude loves Taylor Swift.
He's
so
gone.
If we can make that happen, he would be.
What? I did. Wow, that is very interesting, Joe. If you were watching that, I'm not gonna say it's bad, because I'm not mean, but like, stranger things have happened. So I'm just gonna leave it at that, So if you
make it happen, internet, make it happen.
Make it happen. The Swifties. You can rise up now. This is the time. The time has been called. The bells are ringing, so metaphorical bells. I don't actually have a bell, so.
Yeah, Joe's metal card has been rejected already. So it doesn't even hurt him anymore.
Joe has now been released from the band. You'll never see Joe again.
Oh no. He's rejected his metal card a long time ago. So.
I guess that's not renewing in the new year, I guess. That's a shame. I'm sorry I had to, Joe. I'm sorry I had to do you like that. That's not, that's as a fellow metalhead, it doesn't bring me great joy to have your card revoked like that.
I'm surprised Joe even plays with a distortion channel.
Poor Joe. He's gonna be watching this, and he's gonna have have zero control over what's good.
He will agree with me.
All right, Joe, you heard that? Jay is saying that you would agree with him. So if you make a comment now in the comment section, I need to know if you would agree with what Jay said. So there's no way of us recording that now because I literally don't. If Jay like magically hears this through the ether of the internet and then just texts Jay while we're doing this interview, I'm gonna just like jump out a window or something. But beyond that, you know, don't be too hard on Joe. You know,
No,
everybody likes their own music. You know, but you know, I can't stand by and have him have a metal card. You know, that's just.
Listen, man, we're pulling inspiration from everywhere.
I'm
You know what I
just
mean?
kidding.
From
that's
everywhere.
my point. That his inspiration is like not even metal focused. It's from every corner of the earth.
We've said that for years, man. I mean, like we are doing things. We're pulling jazz fusion and Latin inspiration. We're pulling classical elements. We're pulling we on Magnum Opus. There's like synthwave sections. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yes, there is.
we're-
Yeah.
Nothing is. We're at a stage now in our music careers where like nothing is off limits, and that is the most freeing when it comes to songwriting. You know, like there's no like stops.
No boundaries. No
Yeah, we can
boundaries.
do whatever we want.
Yeah.
And the other thing is that we appreciate metal bands that draw from other sources because you don't want to hear the same thing over and over again.
Oh yeah.
When we band that's like original and they like do something different, you know, those are the ones that really grasp our attention, to be honest with you.
I just want to let you guys know that IATT's new album is Polka Gent. So, you know, you heard it here first. The vibes are strong on this album, you know. I don't know how they got like an accordion and then also like, you know, a tuba player and then also like, you know, some 8-string just goodness mashed in together. Is a sight to behold, you know. So
You
just
joke, but there might be.
oh, come on. Don't make me out to be a liar, Alec. All right. I know for a fact that that's not, you know, it hasn't been done. Okay, I want to say it won't be done. It has not been done yet, and I hope it doesn't get done for a while. That's all I'm saying.
Have you ever heard of I Wrestled the Bear Once?
I have, yes.
So they have some polka sections.
They do, but
That's true. That's true.
I told you it's not off limits, but you know, they did it. They only did it for a snippet. I don't know if you could do it for an entire song because I would be very confused.
I will say, like, when we write something really weird, we always question it, and then the one person's like, "No, but this really might work,"
and then you just go with it.
Yeah,
I respect that. You know, gotta respect the. You could very easily have dismissed it and been like, "That's not I don't know what you guys are talking about," and then. But you just do it, like, so I think that's ultimately why I liked Magnum Opus a lot. Was I was literally sitting here in my chair listening to it, and I was like, they just did it. They didn't question it. It just second nature. It just felt like, and the fact that it didn't feel like a ploy in some way, where you're like, yeah, they did it because they could do it. I just feel like you guys did it because it was the natural next point in the song or whatever. And I gotta appreciate that because a lot of the times, you know, bands don't kind of, especially within like I would say heavier music, and that's not to, you know, broad. This is all broad brushstrokes, but you know, I feel like a lot of bands have to take that intuition into account and just do something different. You know, I think it's what sets you apart. It's what makes you unique. And, you know, I'm glad that you guys are taking inspiration from everywhere and doing, you know, different genre bends of different things because I think it makes a song more interesting. And also, you know, it makes the album more interesting because then you can kind of listen to it from front to back. I'm a front to back listener. As you know, I've said multiple times, I love listening to an album from track 1 to X amount of tracks, just because it gives you the full gambit of what they're able to do and what they're capable of doing. And I feel like if I'm sitting here and I'm, you know, once the new album comes out, I'll be live reviewing it and reacting to it, and I'm pretty sure my face will just be like this for the entirety of it. So I'm very excited to just have someone medically like move my jaw back into place when it's all done.
I will say it has to be tasteful though. That's the one rule that we have. As long as it's done tastefully, then we'll go with it.
That's good. You're a man. You guys are men of taste. So I appreciate that. You know. Uh, the next question I have for you guys is if there was another musical instrument you could master. I know Alec knows a ton, so you know he can add this to his laundry list of things he's very talented at. But what would be another instrument if you just could pick the instrument up tomorrow and just be a wizard at it? What would it be?
I think I've said this before in another interview with you, that I love the violin, and I think
Ooh,
either
yeah.
violin or cello would just be killer. But I'm gonna go out and on a different tangent, and I think that like no one would ever say the harp, and maybe the harp is like a cool way
That
to
would be
go.
neat.
Yeah,
I
that's
would
my
agree with
vote.
that.
That's my vote this time.
Jay.
I wish I was a badass bassist.
Don't front like that, Jay. Come on.
Listen,
What are
listen,
you saying, man? I gave you
Okay,
a
okay.
compliment about your bass playing skills earlier, and you're just gonna diss me like that on my own show?
All right. So, like I said, I learned how to play bass in 2015. I may write cool bass lines,
You do.
but I'm not a prodigy on bass. You know what I mean? Like,
I
I
got you.
haven't played bass since I was like 8 years old. You know, like I wish like I had all that time to really master the instrument because I'm still learning things. You know what I mean?
I feel that. Yeah.
So like just being in the band with other people that have played guitar for 20 years, it just makes me wish that I'd been playing my bass for 20 years, you know?
Sure.
Not many people know this, but you know, I used to play trumpet since fourth grade. I did track myself on Chrysopoeia from Magnum Opus. There's a section
Okay.
trumpet there. I've fallen off on trumpet, you know, like as IATT has become my main focus, you know, like playing
Sure.
bass, and my hands are already full. But yeah, I really wish that I started playing bass when I was younger, you know, so I can, because there's a drive in me that I have to reach their level, and I just keep pushing and I just want to feel like I'm at the level of other people that have played their instrument for 2 decades.
Sure. Yeah.
That's the thing that I wish that I started off with that instrument.
I'm going to embarrass you, Jay, and I think that you glazed over the fact that you played trumpet from such a young age. Jay's credited playing with the Baltimore Ravens at the Super Bowl, being one of the youngest trumpeters in the Super Bowl, playing for the Baltimore Ravens.
I was 7th grade, and I was 14 years old.
The fuck? Oh my god.
2001 versus the Tampa Bay. No, it played in the Tampa Bay stadium. I forget the team they were playing.
It doesn't matter. That's amazing. That's kudos to Jay. Listen,
I don't know why you don't lead with that story, man.
Yeah, that's great.
story.
Listen, if anything, I feel like
Super
that's a Jay trait. That's what I'm picking up, because he was like, "Yeah, I'm not a great bass player," and I'm like, "Bro, come on, man. Don't lie to me like that. Why we just met and you're gonna lie straight to my face like that?"
I'm okay, man.
Yeah, I'm okay. And then meanwhile, I was like, I'm like, all right, man, come on, joke's up, man. You don't have to hide your emotions from me. I appreciate it, but that's I get it.
That's just
It's the defense mechanism. I got it. I respect that. But Jay's to give Jay a lot more credit. He's a fantastic bassist, so way better than me. And I'm setting a very low bar for myself, but he is monumentally better than me. So, like, I'm going to say at least 10 times better than me. So, and I'm just like mediocre as hell. So, I feel like if he's just like ripping it up. So, Jay, if I'm not giving Jay enough credit, let me know in the comments because I'll give him some more credit,
These guys push me. They push me further and further.
We push each other. We really
That's great.
do. Every album, every song we write, we challenge each other to out of our comfort zones, which is terrifying and also great.
I feel like you have to. Like, if you're I feel like if you're in a band and you have this willingness to evolve and grow, like that's the only way that's gonna happen. Like you know, you're doing it in because you know you guys are brothers, your family. You know, you want to see that person push hard and put out the best work possible. It's kind of similarly to having like a really strong producer who's kind of like the you know the nth member of the band that just is like I think you could do a better take, you know. I think you could, you know, I think you could play that guitar part cleaner. I think that drum fill could be tighter. Like there's things that I appreciate about bands and I think after interviewing bands for like 7 years, I think for me personally, it makes me appreciate the music more because when I talk to bands like yourselves and just like constantly pushing yourself and constantly trying to like one up what you're doing, like that just makes me like I find camaraderie in that because that's kind of how I do interviews. Like I'm always trying to like be like, what can I learn? What can I do better? And people are like, oh, well, what do you do in your free time? And I'm like, I watch other people interview other people because I need to learn how to like figure out how to word things or how to like draw something out of other people and like it's just another way to experience or learn from the you know the people I have on and so I feel like you know now I feel that energy of like now I need to like up my game now even though I'm not an IAT you know that's like now I'm gonna be like taking on the reins to just try to do the best that I can. So I appreciate it, guys, because that's really good, and I definitely feel like you guys are completely underselling what you guys do because it's for sure like not only from the level of like musicianship, but also from the level of like I know how much time and effort you guys put into the to magnum opus, and obviously this new album that is not named yet, but I also know you put a lot of work into that thus far now. So kudos to IAT. They're great. Go check them out. You know, if I need to show more about them, you know, check the links in the description. You should give them a follow on Spotify, you know, so you're in the loop of, you know, when they drop another, you know, Heat album. And I don't want to hear any comments say like, "Oh man, I wish I checked this band out sooner." You can check them out like right in this moment right now and be the envy of all of your friends when they blow up and you're like, yeah, I knew IAT when they were cool, you know, when they had Magnum Opus out. Now, you know, now they're just like the biggest, like, you know, black metal band out there right now, you know. So just saying, you know, I don't want to toot my own horn, but you know, I'm gonna toot it a little bit. So go check them out. But the next question I have for you guys is if you were to compile a dream tour lineup that would include IAT, who would be on it?
Hmm.
Okay.
That's hard.
I have a list.
You do?
Okay, Jay, what's good?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, Dissection would be headlining.
Okay. Well,
Alex, like, all right, we're going
You
there.
have Dissection, Emperor, Enslaved, Neo Obliviscaris, Durweg and Fahrenheit, and then us.
okay. I think that might be a near perfect tour.
Yeah, we're opening for all those bands.
No qualms about that. Yeah, I think you said it. That
He
might be
did say it.
the perfect dream team lineup for us.
Well, guys, I'm gonna manifest that for you guys. Check the link also in the description. You know, pre-sale tickets coming hot and fresh right now. Go buy them up. You know, it's where that link that says Spotify. You just have to click the follow, and then you'll get access to that pre-sale link. So listen, you heard it here first. You know, I didn't tell you, but you know, just in case you know you wanted to buy tickets to that, just saying. You know,
Let's be real. There's a lot of really fucking cool tours coming around.
Yeah,
yes,
there's some really good tours.
And there's a lot of cool things for IAT in the works. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yep.
Love to hear it. Love to hear it.
Shout out to our new management and booking team. Dave Reyna, management.
Yeah,
So,
seriously. They
have a for us, and it's the first time that you know we've had a group of people that we may make a statement, and we're just like shooting for the stars, and they're like, "Let's make that happen. Let's make that happen." So I mean, it's really a good fit, and I'm proud to work with them.
Yeah, there's a lot of really great stuff coming this year, and then just thank you to those guys again for believing in us and helping push.
There we go. Love it. Love to hear it. You know, that's what I love to hear about the scene, and just like, you know, finding bands that, you know, are really just sticking it out and doing it, and, you know, finding success in doing it, because, you know, obviously it's something that's a passion to all three of us here. So, very cool. Very cool to hear. But the last question I have for you guys, as much as I'd love to talk to you for mucho more hours, the last thing I've been leaving a lot of my interviews off with is a question that I have been asking more within like the past year, and it just winds up making its way onto, you know, these interviews. But if it wasn't clearly evident, very passionate about interviewing bands. It's something that I have built a large majority of my 20s on, and wouldn't trade it for the world. But why do you guys create music? Why is that something that's a passion for you? Because for me, I'd like to just find out about these very obscure bands that are just working hard and doing stuff. Obviously, in this scenario, it's a little bit easier since I know Alec, and I've known him for a long time. But you know, why do you guys hold music as such an important factor in your life? Because very easily could be doing something else, you know, and to have this much drive and have this much effort, and to, you know, go back to the former point at the beginning of the interview for doing it for 15 years, like, this has to mean a lot to you guys. So, you know, what continues to make you passionate about making music with IATT, or just making music in general?
Go ahead.
So I would say creating music is just an extension of like my ability to communicate my emotions.
Yeah.
It's that's all I can say.
Yeah, I'll pick up on that. I think it every person has a creative spark in them, whether you want to acknowledge that or not. I think everybody, just being as a human being, you are a creative. I think for some people, whether it's a coping mechanism, whether it's just the way you communicate, I think there are some people that is just how they find maybe inner peace.
Sure.
Maybe it's some sort of self-fulfillment, you know. But I can speak for myself that you know, I'm an artist, and I create because that's what I do. You know, that's my purpose, is to create.
No, I love that. I feel like, and I can resonate a lot with what Jay says, because like, I also find that sometimes people ask me and they're like, "Why do you interview bands? Like, why is there something important to you?" And I think for me, the message that I think I repeat in my head every time, not every time, but like a large majority of the time when I'm interviewing bands, is like, A, how much of a difference it makes in their lives, right? Like, these are people that work hard at what they do, and they're very passionate about it, and I'm also very passionate about what I do. So why not funnel or channel that sort of passion that I feel for bands into other people? You know, maybe this might give them that motivation or that push to continue to create, if they're feeling like, you know, someone doesn't give enough of a shit about my music, or doesn't care enough about my art or whatever. And this is my way of giving back, because for me, like, music has been such an integral part of my life, and it's, you know, originally started with things, you know, not going well within my life, and I turned to music because that was something that was always a stronghold in my life. And so for me, like, I want to be able to share my passion of finding new bands with other people that are equally as passionate about finding new music and finding new bands and things that that they love. Like, the best compliment I can have about doing YouTube and doing, you know, interviewing bands, is that if somebody walks away from this interview and is like, I never heard of IATT before, but I went and checked them out, and they're one of my new favorite bands. That is like, no amount of money could, not that I make a lot of money doing this anyway, but like, no amount of money could be made to the point where, like, if somebody came up to you guys at a show and said like, "Hey, I watched your interview with Audio Addiction. I hadn't heard of your band, but I really appreciated the passion behind what you guys do, so I went out and saw you, and I'm not disappointed. Like, you guys are like one of the coolest bands that he's shown me." that would be it. I would be able to take that to my grave and be completely fine with knowing that, that's my calling, very similarly to Alec, So I got to give you a lot of credit for continuing to do it over 15 years, because I know I mentioned it at the top of the show, but that's a huge milestone, and you guys got to give yourselves a lot of credit for continuing to do it, because I'm sure at certain points you're just like, I don't know, are we going to continue doing it? Are we going to continue to push for it? So I appreciate that you guys are still willing and wanting to do it, because that's a difficult path to carve out, certainly.
I think you touched on something just there. And I think what it comes down to is connection. I
Mhm.
think that that's a big way of how people connect to each other through music, and I think it's one of the reasons probably why we've lasted so long, is because we're connecting to each other, and we're connecting to people who respond to the music. Um, so I think that's a massive chunk of it. Is I think it's a way for people to connect and find commonality and find um, safety and home. You know what I mean?
Sure.
And
Yeah,
in some instance, comfort. I think music is the great connector between everybody.
I would agree. Jay?
Uh, really quickly, as you were describing your passion for interviewing bands, it just brought me back to about 2018 when we played out right outside of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and there was this kid that was like screaming all the lyrics to one of our older songs from
Oh,
2015,
awesome.
and I was so choked up I could barely get through like my vocals. Like
Sure. Yeah.
guy had me choked up. I was fighting back tears myself. Just because like the lyrics are always like an internal way of how I feel, and that this person was identifying with how I felt when I wrote those lyrics. So it
Sure.
just really
Yeah.
it killed me inside. It really did. And it's moments like that that mean most to me.
Yeah, no, I think that's like one of the coolest things, and I'll tack on to what Alex said about music being, and I say this, I feel like it's been said a lot more in more current interviews I've done, but just like how music is that universal language. Like you could go to another country, and someone, if you like have enough conviction and you speak the words that that are said to you, like that you feel that connection, and so to me, like that's always going to be a lot of the driving force behind why I continue to do this. And I don't think I'll ever get to that moment where I won't find the connection to it. Um, but I appreciate that you guys, are doing this, and, that, there are fans out there that love IAT enough to literally know the entirety of a song like that. I think that's like one of the biggest compliments you can pay to any artist, is like having that. I mean, above maybe like having it tattooed on your body. I feel like that's like the other, like, that's the other like mile marker for those things, that you are dedicated to it, and that you believe it enough to either say it with words, or have it on your body for the rest of your life. And I think that kind of surmises it as the type of impact that you have on other people, and so I got to give you guys a lot of credit for just doing what you've been doing it, and obviously, like, best of luck. I think you guys are absolutely going to be killing it this year, certainly, and I don't have to tell you, into the next 15 years, because I feel like you guys are just going to be continuing to do it, and we'll be on our like 70-second interview or something by that point. So, but the last thing, guys, is the most important thing. The thing that I feel like most people will come here to find out. But where can they find IAT at? What you guys have coming up in the next couple months, and anything else you would like to plug or talk about?
Well, you can find IAT on almost any social media platform, or even on TikTok. At this moment, we're just leaking like some studio video teasers and things like that.
All right.
We have some shows that are in the midst of being booked, so keep your eyes peeled for some April dates and May dates, and we'll see you around. Just keep your eyes open, and you'll see what we're putting out.
Yeah,
Alec?
we got a busy year ahead of us. Some touring going on, some some one-off shows. We're in the studio right now, so look forward to teasers and stuff that we're going to be dropping over the next few months.
I had coffee.
Oh yeah, we could talk about the IATT coffee.
Woo!
That we are super stoked that we finally got to team up with Black Forge, and we have an IATT coffee that is out there now. It's called the Alchemist Brew, and you could pick it up at Black Forge. Is it blackforgecoffee.com, or go through our merch store and you can get your coffee.
You can find it on they can find it on the Bandcamp.
Yeah, that's right. We're selling it through our Bandcamp, or you could buy it through the coffee place themselves. Yeah, it's kind of cool.
That's great. I'm low key waiting for the. I'm like not the biggest coffee drinker, but if I got a blend, I would just be like, can it be the most metal thing? No, I'm kidding. I don't know what I would do. I feel like that process is a little too attenuated for me. I'm just like, does it give me caffeine? Does it keep me awake? Okay, great, perfect, love it. Does it taste good? Wonderful. That's like that. I have a very low bar to entry for coffee, but if you are a massive coffee lover, or you wanted to check out IATT, or you find yourself in those two paradigms, then please go check out IATT. All of the links will be in the description. Please listen to Magnum Opus. I cannot sing enough praises about that album. It's so good. And I'm gonna pick up the vinyl, as I mentioned earlier. If you guys pick it up before me and it sells out, I'm gonna be very disappointed. So just hold off like one day, and then if I don't get it, it's my own fault for not picking up and buying it. It looks like Jay's about to go grab one. Oh, there we go. All right, and then is Alec also doing? Oh, my boys. All right. Wow, listen to that. Look at that. See, I don't have to shill for it because they have it. So
Join the club.
I'm gonna join the club. You guys can also join the club with the links in the description. If you're a vinyl fiend, much like myself, also have all of the social media links. So make sure to give them a follow. Also on Spotify as well, so you don't miss out on new music when it comes out. Also, if you enjoyed this interview, share, like, and subscribe. It goes a long way. This year has been great already, and very excited for 2023 and what it has to hold. But also, if you don't want to watch the video, which I don't know why you wouldn't. I feel like there are three objectively good looking men here. So I'm just saying, you heard it here first. But if you wanted to listen to the audio version of this, it'll also be out on Spotify, Apple Music. I've been trying to go through that process of getting all of those videos up there. So check those out when they're live. But yeah, if you like that, and also hope to see IATT this year. I'm pretty sure I will be. But let us know in the comments as well where you'd like to see them tour next. Don't say Brazil. I swear to God, or I'll cancel that. I'll cancel that comment real quick.
Come to Brazil.
No, come to Brazil. So definitely go check out IATT, and huge thanks to both Jay and Alec for coming on tonight. I do appreciate it.
Thank you, buddy.
All right. See ya. Thanks.